Okay, it's 14th of February 2026. Now, I write devotionals, among other writings I do, but my favourite is writing devotionals and writing about Jesus and being a Christian. I've been a Christian for a good 8 years now, fully saved, and try my best at being in the Word daily. So here's a devotional I wrote on the 1st of September 2025. Okay, and it's about being strengthened through hardships, adversity, and trials in our daily lives, which we all go through at some point or other. Devotional, strengthened through trials. For it is time for judgment to begin at the household of God. 1 Peter 4:17. Reflection. Life as a Christian is not free from hardship. For those elected by God, trials can press so heavily that our faith feels shaken. The human part of us feels the pain deeply, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, yet this suffering is never without purpose. God allows trials to refine our faith. Just as fire purifies gold, our struggles mirror the trials of Jesus during his ministry and ultimately his victory over death for humanity. By sharing in these trials, our faith grows stronger and our souls are purified. God does not call on his children to remain safe in the harbour. He sends us into the high seas where the storms of life test and forge strength in our souls. The apostles themselves lived this way, serving God in hardship, facing persecution, and even giving their lives in martyrdom. Their trials revealed the surpassing worth of Christ. God came to them in their final moments. Stephen, as he was being stoned to death, taking away the human frailty of pain. His eyes were fixed on Christ at that moment before his death, and his spirit experienced the peace and triumph that only God can give. Through adversity, we mature. God strengthens us to fulfill the unique tasks he has appointed for us in our families, work, and communities. Each of us is given gifts through God's common grace. But for believers, these gifts have an eternal purpose: to build up his kingdom on earth and to live as an example of Christ, adding flavour, salt to their communities. When we endure suffering with faith, we're not only refined personally, but strengthened to bless others and help God's kingdom flourish. Leaning on Christ in times of suffering. Mature Christians know that in personal trials, their first refuge is Christ himself. They do all they can physically to address their circumstances as God expects us to help him help us. Seeking help and taking practical steps, but then they pray in faith and trust, and entrust the outcome to Christ, confident he will see them through. For those who have not yet come to faith, God's grace is also at work. Even in their suffering, he provides guidance and support. If they choose to place their trust in him, he can bring about good outcomes for them. Faith is the doorway, whether you are a lifelong believer or someone considering God's offer of salvation. Trusting him transforms suffering from mere hardship into a pathway of hope, growth, and blessing. God's hand even before faith. Even for those who have never had the chance to know Christ, God has placed an order within creation and within the human conscience. This natural moral law, as Paul explains in Romans, shows that God's gift to humanity gives a sense of right and wrong even before the law of Moses was written in stone. Romans 2:14-15. Seneca the Younger, a Stoic philosopher who lived during the time of Jesus, likely never met Christ nor heard him teach. Yet his moral conscience reflected truths that mimic Christ's character, virtue, endurance, and refining power of trials. He observed that a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. This demonstrates that God's wisdom and providence for work in the hearts of all. I'll say that again. This demonstrates that God's wisdom and providence work in the hearts of all people, even before encountering Christ. Human conscience and God's natural order can guide individuals towards moral insight, preparing the way for grace, understanding, and ultimately hope found in faith. So I'll finish this with a prayer. Heavenly Father, when trials weigh on us, remind us that you are refining us. Help us to remain calm, to do all we can practically, and then entrust the outcome to you. Strengthen our souls, equip us for the work you have appointed, and let your kingdom flourish through our faithful actions. For those who have not yet trusted in you, reveal your grace and bring them into faith, so that suffering may also lead to hope, growth, and blessing. Amen.